Okay, testing. We are live. It's a couple of minutes before the hour. I need to just explain, since I'm now recording, that at the moment I cannot get the chat box to work. So my sincere apologies in advance, but it looks like this is going to be a one-way conversation. Hello, folks. I can't get the chat box to work. I can see that there are people here. But at the moment, my chat box app will not fire up. So if you can see a small red flag, like a little thing that comes up in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen that says register here to chat, or so I can't remember what it says because I can't see it. Then that's great. And please go ahead and enter your name and email in there so that we can talk, but at the moment it's not working at my end. So I've got it trying to fire up, and I will persevere with it. But as long as you can see and hear me, we can get going. So we'll just give it a minute or two more for some more people to show up. And then we will get going. Okay. Right. Here's what I'm going to do. Okay, it says it's all activated there. Right. Okay. All right, folks. So let's get started here. I don't want to keep people waiting. So if more people arrive, as they might do as we go through, then we'll welcome them as they show up. But for those of you that are here, thank you very much. I don't know what time of day it is where you are. Here in the UK, it's evening. And this is the Unleash the Writer presentation. Now, what I'm going to do is screen share my slides with you, which means I can only see that screen from my end while I'm broadcasting. But I will hop in and out. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open another browser tab. Oops, not there. So that I can check my emails, because it looks like you're going to have to communicate with me by email, because my chat box won't work and I'm really sorry about that. There's always seems to be a gremlin on the day. But nevertheless, we will have a good time, and there's always a solution to every problem. So I guess technology has kind of got a bit ahead of itself. Okay, right, so all right, oops, that's not the right thing. There we are. Okay, so let's get started. So this is Unleash the Writer Within live training. I'm Trevor Emden. I'll introduce myself a bit more fully in a few minutes, but let me just run through what today's agenda is. And again, thank you very much for giving up your time to be here. So let's crack on. So what this is about, thank you. I presume that you have purchased the Kindlecraft program and that you've been through at least some of it by now. So you'll know that what I'm about is the creative process. As a writer, it's about unleashing that spirit of creativity and being able to do it at will. So on the agenda, what I want to take you through is a process that will help you to end writer's block for good. There's absolutely no reason why that feeling should come over you. We're always able to be creative when it comes to other things in life. Conversation being the example that I think is most pertinent to us as writers. End low confidence, because that's one of the things that gets in the way of being able to write. The feeling of, you know, I don't know enough about this, or I'm not good enough, that kind of thing. So it's part of writer's block is to do with our own self-image and self-esteem, in part as writers and maybe in general as people. Boost productivity, because obviously when you end writer's block, then you're going to be a productive writer, because you know you can always write. Sit at the keyboard or typewriter or with pen and paper, whatever means you use to get words into print, and you will be productive anytime. And to be able to write on any topic that even remotely interests you, even if you're not an expert. In fact, especially if you're not an expert. And I'm going to prove it in this presentation. So you need to have a pen and paper handy. I did send out a couple of emails about that in advance, but in case you didn't see them, go and grab yourself a pen and paper and have that to hand as we go through the process, because we're actually going to do this live. Now, because the chat box won't work, I've had to patch this together. So to communicate with me, I'm going to do a Q&A session at the end of this presentation. And so I know that this will work. It's just a bit clumsy, and I apologize for that. But please just send questions to that address, trev@wizardofwisdom.com, during the presentation. If you're watching a replay of this, I will obviously also pick up emails, and I will get back to you. Obviously, I'm in the UK, so it depends what time zone you're in. If you're watching a replay and you send me and you're in Australia or the USA, then you may have to wait a few hours for a reply. But I'm at the computer and checking my emails pretty much 7 days a week, so I will get back to you. If you are here live right now, then obviously I will check my emails before the end of the presentation. So you can send the questions in as we go along. I will check them when we get there. Please introduce yourself as well, because there's no chat box. I can't actually see who you are. I will just look and see if the chat box says no. It's not there. But there are 6 people here so far. So thank you very much for coming. Okay, so apologies for the gremlin, but we're going to plow on, and we're going to do this thing, and we're going to have a good time. So let me tell you a bit about who I am. That's me. I'm not the one in the picture frame. I'm the one in front of it. Trevor Emden. And obviously, I'm not going to spend a long time telling you my autobiography. That would bore you. but I will just give you a potted history of why I'm writing programs about writing for Kindle and so on, just so that you know a little bit of my background. So I've had a lifelong love of words. I think I was the only pupil in my class at school who would cheer, probably silently, when we were set an essay to write for homework. Everybody else used to groan, "Oh, sir, not an essay." And I used to go, "Yeah, an essay," because to me, being able to just make something up, there were no rules, as long as I got reasonable grammar and spelling okay, and I was actually, without bragging too much, I was actually quite good at those, apparently naturally. I never had a problem with spelling for some reason. But genuinely used to love just making things up. So the teacher would give us a title, or sometimes a number of titles to choose from, and I go, "Oh yeah, well, okay, I'll write about that." And didn't seem like work to me at all. Every other subject I pretty much loathed, but English, especially writing essays, seemed to me just a joy. When I left school, eventually, by a fairly convoluted route, but eventually I went into the world of psychiatry and psychotherapy, trained in a number of different therapies, worked for 10 years with adolescents and family problems, and was a manager of that unit within the British National Health Service in those days, from the mid-80s to the mid-90s. And during that time as well, I wrote articles about how to do therapy and things related to that topic, and got published in national magazines within that world of nursing and psychiatry and so on during the 80s and 90s, and got paid for it. So I learned then that not only could I write, but that my writing was good enough for editors to, some editors, not all of them, quite a number of my pieces got rejected as well, which is perhaps something worth saying, because as writers, you are going to get rejections, and these days you don't need to go through editors because you can self-publish, especially if you're working on Kindle, but readers will criticize and not like your work as well. That's going to happen, folks. So it's being able to let that bounce off you that's important. I've written literally dozens of books, self-help programs, and I've lost count actually of the number of articles, blog posts I've written. And in 2008, that was a kind of turning point in my life in a number of ways, including in my writing career, because that year, two things had happened to me that were significant. Or yes, two things happened. One was that my wife, my newish wife, because we'd been married for a couple of years by then, but she's non-European, and it took until 2008, took nearly 2 years for us to get her visa to allow her to come and live here in the UK. So that happened in the May of that year. So my life changed dramatically, obviously from that moment forward, and it meant that I, not being on my own anymore, meant that I had like an extra layer of responsibility, I suppose, to make, keep life ticking over, including paying the bills, paying the mortgage, and that was also the year that the World's Bank started to collapse. Now, I don't think my wife had anything to do with that personally, but in my world, those two things collided in about the October of 2008, when a major source of my income that I'd relied on for the best part of 10 years pretty much dried up. And I think the recession, the global recession that was hitting every industry hard back then, was responsible for that, because it meant that they just didn't have the work for me. I was kind of freelancer, not writing, but in the world of psychiatric nursing and so on. And I'd relied on that input of work for, as I say, for a long time. Had other sources of income, but none of them were enough to pay all the bills. So I turned to writing to make money, and instantly worked. There's a whole other story about that as well, which is quite a good one and quite a miraculous one in a way, but not for today, because I'm mindful of time. Got a lot to get through here, but I got paid quite well, very well actually, for ghostwriting. And I ended up working about 4 hours a week for more money than I'd been earning in the day job. And that continues, not at that level because I've stopped putting myself out there as a ghostwriter so much, but I still have 1 or 2 clients from those days who still regularly hire me to write. And I mostly write on topics, to, non-fiction stuff, but I write on topics to do with self-help and personal development. Because that's the world I come from. So I've been paid as a writer on and off since the mid 1980s, so 25, 30 years getting on. My goodness, am I really getting that old? So writing has been part of my life for a very, very long time. So when the internet came along, obviously 15 or so years ago, I, as a writer, was like, wow, here is a way I can write my stuff and reach my audience without having to go through editors and publishers and agents and so on. And of course, that wasn't quite true, because then there was all the marketing to learn about. And so I then found myself on a new learning curve about how to create websites. Of course, there was no Amazon or Kindle in the early days, but how to create websites, how to write what later became known as blogs and blog posts, how to reach my audience. No Facebook in those days either, but it wasn't as easy as it looked. But I could still see that the potential for reaching anyone in the English-speaking world, and for me it had to be the English-speaking world because that's the only language I can write in, but that's a lot of people. Anyone in the English-speaking world potentially could be reached from my spare room or my bedroom, kitchen table, or wherever I had my computer at the time. So that was the revelation for me. And now, of course, the opportunities for writers are greater than they've ever been, probably since the invention of the printing press. Because despite, or in fact, because of the technology that we have, you can write for just about anyone on any topic. Who doesn't need blog posts? Membership sites need content. Blogs need content. In fact, blogs need a lot of content. The top blogs in any subject only survive and stay at the top of their game and of the search engines because they've constantly got fresh new content. That usually requires, once they reach that level, a team of writers. Sometimes some of the big ones, like the magazine sites and so on, obviously they have that. They have permanent writers who are on the staff, just like with the public paper magazines that you can still buy in the newsagents. But for the others that started off as one-person blogs, to stay where they are, and they need that because they get traffic and revenue from that traffic through advertising or whatever it is they're promoting, they need writers. So there's another opportunity for writers there. And of course, now that Kindle is available, in fact, self-publishing's been available before Kindle. You might be aware of a site called Lulu.com, Lulu.com, that also is a very good site for self-publishing. Was there long before Kindle and is still there and gets a lot of traffic. I still have books on Lulu and still get little royalty checks from Lulu every so often. They just land in my bank account. So there's the opportunities for writers now are greater than ever, and the need for writing that you can be paid for is just everywhere. So how I can help you get paid for writing, because I'm a self-help coach and personal development coach, I blended the two things. So my first principle, as I mentioned already, is that I believe anyone who can speak can also write, because you can string words and concepts together. So why would you get blocked? Why would you feel you don't know what to say when you're faced with a sheet of paper or the electronic equivalent of a sheet of paper, a Microsoft Word document or whatever it is you use? And I used my NLP training to reverse engineer that creative process, which is some of which you've got in the Kindle Craft program, in the videos particularly. And in this presentation, I'm going to take that to the next level. Now, if you don't know what NLP is, don't worry. I'm going to explain enough of it for you to get a sense and a handle on what that means throughout this presentation. But in order to show you what I mean, let's look at what are the biggest blocks, because writer's block really isn't just one block. It's really three things that come together. Sip of water here, excuse me. It's when you feel or have the sense that no ideas or words will come. That's the classic writer's block. But what that really, what's underlying that is either and both and, not enough self-belief, which I mentioned before. It's like the sense of, what do I know? Who'd want to read my ideas? That somehow you're not qualified enough, either with your writing prowess or with your knowledge of the subject, to be the writer of whatever that is. And that goes along with low confidence, which, as I mentioned earlier, might be just about your writing, or might be an aspect of a general feeling of who me? What me? Little me? Am I really good enough? You know, who's going to read what I want to say? And also there's another thing which I haven't put on this slide, which is kind of the corollary of that, which is like a sense of, well, there's a fear of rejection. You know, if I put this out there and get published, or publish it, because you don't have to get published anymore, you just publish. If I publish and someone reads it and doesn't like it, how will I react to the criticism? Because if you don't get published, you're safe, aren't you? No one's going to say I think that's a load of tripe or trash or whatever the word is, or where in whatever vernacular you have locally to you. No one's going to say that, because no one's going to read it. But once it's published, especially on the internet, anyone can read it forever. You can't really ever take it away again. Even if you delete the site or the article or whatever it is you publish, you don't know if anybody's copied that, sent and emailed it to someone else or whatever. It can live forever. So there is that fear. There is also a lesser identified fear, I think, which is kind of an aspect of the fear of success, which I know a lot of people realize there is a fear of success, but I think very few people realize where that comes from. And what fear of success is like, what if I made it so big that my peer group didn't want to know me anymore? It's very comfortable to stay in more than comfortable, actually. It comes from almost a survival thing, that we want to be liked. And if you have been part of a peer group, or are part of a peer group whose general undercurrent, shall we say, is, well, you know, we're all good together, not making it very, very high, not making much progress in life, but we're okay, we're all friends together. There's quite a lot of that goes on, probably more than you realize. If it's not okay to succeed, and that peer group might be family, by the way, parents, a lot of people have the sense that it's not okay to exceed your parents' level of success or failure. Especially fathers and sons have that. It's quite well known in family therapy. So, and those things aren't conscious very often, but it's like, I'm not supposed to do better than that, can also be there. And all of those things can contribute to writer's block. So I'm going to demolish all those in this session, or I'm going to show you how to demolish them. It's really up to you if you play along, but I seriously suggest that you give it a shot, because I think you'll surprise yourself. So have a paper and pen handy, because we are going to eliminate all of those today in this presentation. So here's the challenge. Right now, just set your brain to work and pick a topic which interests you, not too obscure, but about which you know very little. Okay, so pick a topic that's not too obscure, but that you don't know much about. Okay, so what I mean by not too obscure is, don't pick something that really nobody's ever going to want to read. You know, Pink Poodles in Space is, I suppose that might be a children's book, but it's not a topic, it's not a how-to topic, okay, or a knowledge topic. You want to pick something that you kind of like, I wish I knew more about that, wish you knew how that worked or how to do X, but that you actually don't know. So if someone said, can you to sit down and write, I don't know, a 5,000 word article or mini ebook on topic X, that your immediate reaction would be, oh, I don't know anything about that. And right now, don't go to Wikipedia, stay with me. Don't look anything up. Don't Google anything. Stay with me on this presentation, because without your knowledge, we're going to get you writing. Without the knowledge that you think you need. So pick a topic. Let me just see if what's going on here. Okay, so there are more viewers here than there were before. So let me just explain. If you weren't here at the beginning, there is no chat box. It's not working. However, you can email me, trev@wizardofwisdom.com. Let me just put that back up on the screen. There we go. To communicate with me, please email me during this presentation, or if you happen to be watching the replay, then you can still send emails. I will get to them, but I will check my emails before the end of this presentation to see if you've answered questions, because that's that way I can answer you live. So if you have questions about anything that is coming up to do with what I'm showing you or about to show you how to do, please email them in. You can email during the presentation, but I won't check them until we get to the Q&A at the end, and then I will answer all your questions. So the email is trev@wizardofwisdom.com. Okay, Trev, T-R-E-V, @wizardofwisdom.com. You should be able to see that on your screen now. Okay, so back to where we were. This is the challenge. Pick a topic that interests you, but about which you know little or nothing. You're not going to write the whole article during the presentation. Obviously, that would take too long. But I do want you to have a pen and paper there so you can do this experiment live as we go along. Okay, so here's the next part. You can jot this down on your notepad there. On a scale of 0 to 10, now that you've got a topic, how motivated do you feel to write on this topic that you know very little about? So if I'm saying to you, right, I want you to write on a topic that you don't know anything about. How motivated, with 0 being not at all motivated and 10 being I can't wait to start, if somebody had actually genuinely given you that assignment, especially if they're going to pay you for it, and you're thinking, but I don't know anything about this topic, how motivated at this moment, at the beginning, do you feel? So write down a number, 0 to 10. How motivated are you? Then, so just put motivated, and beside it on one line, and beside it a number from 0 to 10. 0 being not motivated at all, 10 being gung-ho, I can't wait to get started. On the next line, write the word inspired. How inspired do you feel about writing this? Because you write better when you're bubbling over with it and you can't wait to get going, right? So how much of that feeling do you have right now as you're thinking about, this is a topic I don't know anything about, but I have to write something on it? How inspired do you feel? 0 being not inspired at all, 10 being I'm bursting with inspiration, or whatever that would be for you. Okay. Next one. If you plan it out in your head, plan the article, plan the piece, what happens is from 0 to 10, 0 being it's a complete blank, 10 being it's popping like popcorn in my head and I'm just bursting with ideas, which presumably you aren't going to be if you don't know about the topic. And finally, how much excitement do you feel about getting back to writing it up? So it's like, well, I can't finish it now, and you can't finish it now because you're in the middle of a training session. But like, well, I want to get back to it. How much of that is there? Just put it on that 0 to 10 scale. Just put a number against that. So you'll have 4 numbers on your notepad: 0 to 10, motivated, inspired, planning, and excitement for completing the project. Okay. Now, again, you can't answer me directly, but would you agree that if you can write an outline for a topic that you know practically nothing about, but which holds some interest for you, by the end of this session, you will have eliminated the last excuse for not writing or not writing enough? Let me just hide this little thing here. It's in my way. There we go. Okay. Oh, wrong one. I've done it before. Pardon me. Okay, there we go. Would you agree then, if you can write an outline for that topic by the end of this session, you will have eliminated the last excuse for not writing or not writing enough, because we'll have eliminated all the possible writer's blocks. Hopefully you're in agreement with me there. So now let me explain what we're going to do, because I'm going to use a little bit of applied NLP to get these blocks out of the way. NLP, if you don't know what it is, stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming, which doesn't help if you don't know what it is, but neuro-linguistic means the language of the mind, of the brain. Neuro is the brain, linguistic, how linguistic patterns are formed in the brain, and programming is, well, programming, okay? And NLP has been around since the late 60s, early 1970s, when it was conceived by two Harvard professors called Richard Bandler and John Grinder, who are both still around, both still teaching it, don't speak to each other anymore. I haven't done for some considerable time, as far as I know. Don't know why, and they have different teaching styles. What they were interested in originally was the study of human excellence. They wanted to understand why, given a relatively level playing field, i.e. of intelligence and you know, working body and so on, and education, that in any field of human endeavor, a handful of people would excel, the majority would be average, and a handful would fail, for lack of a better term. Okay. And what they discovered was it's to do with the way that we process and pattern information inside our heads. Okay, so it's how we review information. You can see I've spelt that with a hyphen there deliberately, because how we view information and review it makes a difference. So if you're seeing pictures in your head that are big and bold and close up and brightly colored, that's probably going to make you feel, in most cases, not every case, but in 90-something% of cases, most people feel motivated and inspired when they have pictures like that in their heads, compared to pictures that are black and white, distant, probably still images, not like movies, which feel dull and distant and uninspiring, right? But most of us don't even know that we're doing that. Most of us certainly don't know that we can get hold of the information in our heads and change the way we view and review it. Some people don't even make pictures, so if you're not able to do that, don't worry. Some people work far more in the world of sound and auditory, and even kinesthetically with feelings and so on. All of us, to some degree or other, will blend those modalities, as they're called, and submodalities. And NLP goes deeply into all those things, which I'm not going to do today. I'm not going to go deeply in, but I'm going to show you. You just need to know enough to understand why this works. What happens is it changes your beliefs. Now, before I go through the rest of that slide, let me just give you an example here, which I think helps people to get a handle on it. If you are walking down the street and you slip on a banana skin, you don't hurt yourself, but you fall over, you feel a bit silly, you feel embarrassed. As you pick yourself up and dust yourself off, you're saying to yourself, oh, I feel very stupid doing that. You know, people are probably looking at me, but one day I'll be able to look back on this and laugh. And NLP would ask you, why wait? Because what's happening is the incident with slipping on the banana skin is over. It's over. Can't go back and undo it. But right now, if we're describing that incident accurately, right now, as you pick yourself up, you're feeling embarrassed, but you also know that further down the road in time, you'll be able to review that incident and find it amusing. What's the difference? What are you doing differently inside your own head that makes that different? Makes that feel different, okay? And it would be to do with the way, well, if you actually said, one day I'll be able to look back on it and laugh, then the first thing I'd explore with you as an NLP practitioner is try in your mind looking back on the image. Try looking, you can do it literally if you like, but in your head, imagine looking over your own shoulder back at yourself slipping on the banana skin and see if that makes it amusing. Because when you find it embarrassing, the chances are you're viewing it inside your head as if you were there looking out through your own eyes. Okay, and that's enough. That shift of perspective will change the way you feel. So when you review information differently, it often changes the way what you believe, right? So because you can say, for example, I believe that okay, let's use a writing example. I'm not a very good writer. You could say that. Well, what gives you that belief? Well, you could say, well, when I was at school, my teachers used to tell me my writing was terrible, or people would laugh at my stories, or whatever. So you've based that belief on past experience, on history then, okay? But you're holding on to the belief by reviewing that information in a particular way. When you change the way you view that information in your head, you could probably say, and I could help you to do that, though I can't do it right here because I'm talking to a group of people. I'd need to work with you one-to-one. But if you're stuck with that or something like that, then by changing the way you view that in your head, that would loosen and relieve that belief pretty much instantly. And you'd have a different belief about it. It's like, well, I can change that. I've overcome other things that I thought I was no good at in the past. Why not my ability to write? Well, there might have been a time when you thought you were no good at swimming or making a cup of tea, or could be anything. And now you can do it. So why not this? So you have other things in your life that you can relate to. You say, well, yeah, there was a time when I thought I could never do that, and now I do it without thinking about it. Tying your shoelaces. All right, and probably much more advanced things as well. So when we change our beliefs, it changes our thoughts and our thought patterns and our thought habits. And when those change, that changes the way you make decisions, which changes your behavior, and that shapes your destiny. Now, if you saw some of the emails I sent out prior to this presentation today, you'll have seen that I said some of this stuff isn't just about writing. This will give you skills for life. So everything interrelates, but most certainly it works for writing. So that's the essence of why NLP is important and why it's so powerful in making rapid change in pretty much anything you want. So back to our experiment. So let's start with what you believe you know or don't know about the topic you've chosen. Now, remember, if you've just joined us or you joined us late, that I've asked you to choose a topic that interests you, but about which you know nothing. And we're going to alleviate and annihilate writer's block about that topic live while we're on this presentation. Okay, so volunteers are required for this. Hopefully you're all volunteering. Let me just have a look, see how many people we've still got. Yep, lots of us there. So everyone volunteer and do this experiment, please. Okay, so or you're going to need to work on your piece of paper. But don't worry, it's not homework. I'm not going to make you read it out to the class. Okay, just this is for yourself. But we'll be interested to see your email comments at the end of the presentation. Okay, so in order to do this, you need to get into what I call curious cat state. Look at this lovely kitty here, okay? I'm guessing that's a she puss. I don't know why. But she or he is just, look how attentive cats can be, but also at the same time, they're completely relaxed. Whatever has got that cat's attention has its total attention, total focus, but the cat also is totally relaxed as well. There's no tension in cats. They're just wonderful teachers, I think, of how to go about life. Now, what I mean by state, this is, I said curious cat state, okay? So in NLP terms, we're always in a state, and they're comprised of these three components, if you like, that make a triangle, obviously. Three things make a triangle. Our beliefs, what we believe about them, the self-talk, what we say about them, and our physiology that goes along with them. Now, let me just give you an example of that. If I told you that in the next 5 minutes, a total stranger is going to walk into the room or wherever you are, and we don't know who this person is. Let's say it's a man. We don't know who he is, but we only know that he's very depressed. Would you expect that man to come skipping and dancing and laughing into the room? Of course not. A very depressed person would not have that physiology. They would probably shuffle slowly into the room. They might, if they were speaking at all, they might be mumbling in low tones and into their chest, and their head would probably be down. Their facial muscles would be drawn. They'd probably have a frown. and so on. You know what a depressed person looks like. There's a physiology that matches. Now, usually when I teach basic NLP, I tell people that the easiest way to change a state is to change your physiology first. And you should do that. You can do that right now. Hopefully you're not very depressed, but just square your shoulders, put a big silly grin on your face, take a deep breath. All those simple things that you can do, those release endorphins, they release those feel-good chemicals into your brain. There's no reason not to do that. It's the fastest way I know to change the way you feel instantly. Better still, don't do it right now because you're in front of the computer, but put on some fun music that you like and get up and have a little dance. Okay, that might make you feel silly, but at least it's not feeling like writer's block. Okay. However, before I say however, physiology first. I always say change your physiology first because that does change the way you feel. But the however is, in this experiment, what I really want to target is self-talk. Self-talk, because to have writer's block or to feel that you don't know what to write about, you can access very quickly what you're saying to yourself inside your head. And it probably sounds something like this. How can I write about something I don't know anything about? I'd sound like an idiot. There'd be 3 lines and it's over, or things like that. You'd probably also be saying, I don't know, I can't read your mind or put words into it. I don't want to put words into your own head. Not these kind of words anyway. What's going to happen is you're going to get words out of your own head. But when you're faced with a topic that you really don't know much about, that there are things that you are saying to yourself that are probably convincing you based on beliefs that you can't do it. And these are the kinds of things that you'd probably say to yourself. Now, you can change those, but what you're overlooking when you're paying attention to inner self-talk like that is your own uniqueness. Because you don't know facts and figures and information about the topic. I don't know what you've chosen, but if you're doing the experiment, then it will be a non-fiction topic of some kind. Even if you're a fiction writer, just play along with me here. Because everyone has their own unique approach to anything. That's what writers do. I once taught an evening course, adult evening course, to help people get motivated and feel confident enough to do public speaking. Okay, and one of the participants on that course was a lady who wrote cookery columns for a magazine. That's what she did for a living. That was her profession. She wrote about cookery. And I asked her in one of our seminars, one of our classes, I said, do you think I could do that? And she said, well, I don't know. And I said, well, look, I'm a writer and I know how to cook an omelette. And so if I wrote down all the steps, from breaking the eggs to, whatever, putting it in the pan and cooking the omelette and send it off to, your editor, do you think my omelette recipe would get published? And she said, no, probably not. And I said, right. So why does yours get published? And eventually I'm going to summarize the conversation, but eventually she said, because when I write about it with passion. I said, exactly. I don't know if she actually wrote an omelette recipe and got that published, but whatever recipe she was tackling, she loved cookery and writing. So for her, that was the perfect profession. Getting paid to write about cookery was something she absolutely adored. Now, I wouldn't get paid to write about cookery in all probability because I like cooking enough, but I don't really want to sit down and write out recipes. I don't mind following other people's recipes, but I don't want to write about it. Do you see what I mean? So I don't have that passion, but she had a unique approach, her own style of putting across cookery in writing. And if you watch any of the TV chefs, I suppose Gordon Ramsay would probably be the one that everybody knows because he's pretty internationally famous, right? Now, what's he done to turn cookery into something that he can put not only in first-class restaurants around the world, but on television and have people pay him and advertisers pay him, goodness knows how many millions of pounds, dollars, whatever it is he earns, because he's absolutely passionate about what he does and has a unique way of putting it across. He has his own style, okay, including a lot of expletive language quite often. But he's famous for that, and he gets away with it because he's Gordon Ramsay. So it's uniqueness that we're looking for, okay? So what if instead of that inner self-talk that we talked about a slide or two ago, you went inside and asked some new questions, okay? This is Anthony Robbins. He's a master of teaching and doing this, okay? So notice the tone of the old questions. When you are saying to yourself words like, I can't do this, I don't know anything about it, what's the tone of voice that's inside your head? Now imagine that you have a remote control, more sophisticated, more magical than the one you have for your TV set. And turn down the volume and then choose a tone that inspires you. And then ask some new questions in that tone of voice. Now, if you know who Anthony Robbins is, you've ever heard him speak, maybe you could choose his tone of voice. He's got this amazing kind of, come on, kind of tone of voice. I'm sorry for doing a very bad impersonation of Anthony Robbins there. Anthony, if you ever watch this, please forgive me, sir. But that might be a tone that would get you moving and motivated. He's an extremely wonderful motivational speaker, but you can choose any tone that you like. You can choose any accent that you like. You can choose a sexy tone if you like, but something that has a different effect. So imagine this remote control has a choose a voice tone control as well as a volume control. So when you turn the volume back up, choose a different tone of voice and ask yourself some questions. And these are the kind of questions that you need to be asking yourself. Because when you have an interest in something, and remember I asked you to pick a topic that you have some interest in, some curiosity about, but you don't actually know about. What that interest is because you are asking yourself internal questions like these. What draws me to that topic? See, I'm not drawn to cookery as a topic to write about, but I might be curious about other things that I don't know much about, maybe astronomy, for example. I'm interested in that. Don't know much about it, certainly not an expert, but I'm interested. Okay, so what draws me to it? What draws me particularly? What do I hope to find when I research it, when I know more about it? What do I hope to find? What is going to keep me excited, in other words? Right? Then, what would be my biggest disappointment if X wasn't there? I'd be, oh, I thought it would give me that, or I thought it would teach me about such and such. What would be my biggest disappointment if it wasn't there? And what would it mean if it exceeded my expectations, if it made me go like, wow, I didn't know that. If only I'd explored this before. You've had experiences like that. If only I'd known this before, I'd have been reading books, I'd have been joining clubs, I'd have been joining Facebook groups about this years ago. Right? So what if it exceeded my expectations? So what draws me? What do I hope to find? What would be my biggest disappointment about it if it wasn't there? And what would it mean if it exceeded my expectations? Now, take your pen, write something down. Just make a few jottings. I'm not asking you to write an article or a piece of writing now, but just some notes, something that comes to mind as you consider the topic you chose and the answers to those questions. What draws me to it? What do I hope to find when I get there? What would be my biggest disappointment if I didn't find it? And what would it mean to me if it exceeded my expectations, if it made me go, wow, write something down. Okay, moving on. So what assumptions have you made about it? About what it is this topic, whatever this topic is. What assumptions have you made? What do you think is going to be great about it? How do you imagine it's going to change your life or influence you when you know more about it? How do you imagine it is going to, or it could? And if it's a tangible thing, like prune juice, for example, do you think it's expensive, cheap, or great value for money? What do you imagine? Because right now you don't know. Okay, or maybe you do know something about costs. Okay, and again, as that generates more thoughts, jot them down. Just write something down. Okay, now remember your remote control, your tone of voice. If that tone of voice is still the same as the one that, well, I can't do this, I don't know how to do it, or whatever tone is in your head when you're in that state of I don't know anything about this. You need to be that curious cat. Okay, the curious cat's like, wow, I wonder what's over there. What's over there? Right, just that little head poking out from underneath, looks like a Christmas tree in that photo or something. What is that? What's that? What's that? What's that? That state of mind. Okay, so here's some more questions you can ask yourself in that state of mind, with that physiology, in this new tone of voice. Imagine yourself doing it or having it, or whatever it is, whatever the topic's about. So it might be about playing golf or something. Maybe that's the topic you've chosen. I don't know. So imagine yourself doing it, having it. How does it feel? Does it feel exciting? Does it feel enjoyable? Does it feel fun? Does it feel boring or dull? What does it feel like? How does it feel if you imagine yourself participating or being part of, or whatever it is, getting involved in the topic that you've chosen? And how does it compare to not doing it or having it in your life? And what do you imagine others are saying about you taking up this topic, doing it, having it, becoming it, learning it, whatever is involved? What do you imagine others would say about you doing that or being part of that? And again, write something down. So start taking some notes, because you need some tangible evidence there. Okay? So I know I'm rattling on because I want to be respectful of time, but just scribble some things down. They only have to be jottings. As long as you can pick up the threads when this is over, you can write it up if you want to. Now, what do you have? If you followed this experiment along, you should have a fill in the blanks outline. It's ideas about what you don't yet know. So you now know what research to do. And by the way, you could do this with characters in fiction too. What do you not know about them? What are you curious about? How would they excite you? What would make you go wow about them? What would disappoint you if you found out about them? You can create their entire history by asking questions like those about a completely fictional character. Okay, so then you've got a fill in the blanks character. And you can do the same with plots. I don't know how the plot will work out, or I don't know how the subplot will work out. Do the same kind of thing. I don't know. Well, let me ask myself, what do I imagine about it? What do I want? What would excite me about it? What would make me feel disappointed about it? What would other people be saying if they thought I knew about it? And so on. Are you seeing? Just by asking yourself a different set of questions, you have totally transformed what's going on inside your head. So now, remember that 0 to 10 scale that we did? Go back to that. On that 0 to 10 scale, how motivated do you feel compared to before? 0 to 10, how motivated do you feel about writing that up compared to when we began? Okay, and the next question was about inspiration. Can you feel how inspiration is beginning? Again, give that a 0 to 10. See what the difference is. How far has that moved on that scale? Hopefully towards the 10 end. Are you automatically starting to plan when you write more? Is that beginning to bubble away in your head? Oh yeah, I could. Oh, I want to. Yeah, I must remember to jot that idea down or get that into a paragraph somewhere. Is that just going on somewhere in the back of your mind, even as I'm speaking? And how excited, and put that down on a 0 to 10, and how excited are you to go forward with the project? I can't wait to get started on it. That kind of feeling, put that on a 0 to 10. Compared to before, where are you? You should have 4 numbers. We should have 8 numbers in total, the first 4. And just compare, just by doing this little experiment, and we've rattled through it, how far has that moved? Now, we've taken care of the 3 writer's blocks in one stroke. You have words and ideas to work with. You still haven't done any research. You have confidence in your idea because you know you can inject your uniqueness into the idea, and you are being productive already. And you started with 0 knowledge, I assume, if you did the experiment, of that topic. And you could do that with plots, and you could do that with characters, and you could do it with subplots or anything else you want. There is no reason ever to have writer's block again. Now, I have a question for you. If we stop this presentation right now, based on what you've learned so far, would you agree that you've got more than you would get from most paid courses? Hopefully you would. I haven't got a chat box. You can put the answer in an email if you like, and I will look in a minute, but I don't want to keep going away from the slides. But hopefully you will agree that right now I've given you more in this free presentation than you would get from most paid creative writing courses or even self-development courses. But we're only just getting started. Because what I've just shown you is very powerful and you should have experienced effective, just like this gorgeous beast here. But we could make it so much more effective. What if you could apply NLP to nail any concept and turn it into awesome writing? What if you could use it to find your unique writer's voice? That eludes a lot of writers. What if you could use it to write with passion so that everyone wants to read what you've written? Because passion is infectious in a good way. What if you could apply NLP to get your reader's attention every time, no matter what you're writing about? And what if you knew other secrets to developing the writer's habit so that your time management was superb? And what if you also knew how to find hot markets in your audience? Okay, that's not NLP, but I've had to learn marketing my stuff, otherwise I don't eat. What if you knew how to appeal to that market? How to get a crowd hungry for your work before you've even written? And where to find the confidence to put yourself in the spotlight for radio interviews, webinars, TVs interviews, and so on. Because once you get established as a writer, if that's the path you want to go on, people will want to talk to you and you'll want to talk to them because it gets your work known. But writers are often very solitary people. Writing is by nature solitary occupation. So coming out of the shadows is often a difficulty for writers. And that confidence can be installed very quickly with the kind of NLP tactics and techniques that I can teach you. Plus, many other secrets, too numerous to mention here, either to do with writing or to do with your personal development that will enhance your writing, and so on. I can't go into them all tonight. To take you to those levels, I have something very special to offer you, and there's a small fee. Are you interested? Good, I knew you'd say that. And it's called my Unleash the Writer Within coaching program. Now, it's a 6-week program, and you will learn me more in 6 weeks with me than on any other creative writing program. Why can I say that? Because I'll show you how to find angles to market your ideas. I'll show you how to discover how to build your confidence as a writer and how to express yourself in your unique voice, how to develop style, how to keep the reader's attention. More, I'll show you how to stay productive with time management, how to whet your audience's appetite for your book before it's published so you have them queuing at your door, and I'll even help you write your ghostwriter's resume if you wish. Why is that different to any other program? Because as far as I know, I'm the only one who blends writer's skills and techniques with personal development, because you need both if you're going to succeed as a writer. And if you're going to succeed as a writer, you also need to know some marketing skills and some personal development skills. And I blend all of those together in one package. And by the way, I will work with you one-on-one. This is personal coaching. Now, I have a warning before going further. This is not for everybody, and it's not for you if you're an established author with a catalog, that's my British spelling, of bestsellers under your belt. If you already know how to do that, then you're probably not going to need my coaching. It's not for you or either if you aren't willing to invest in your future as a writer for fun and profit, because let's face it, writing should be both fun and profitable. And it's also not for you if you're not willing to grow as a person. You can't write, or you won't write for very long, if you're just stagnant inside and not open to ideas and changing as a person, because it's your personality that infects and injects the writing with what makes it desirable to read and what makes people hungry for more of you. So, are you still with me? Great. So let's take a quick peek inside. You will get 6 one-to-one coaching sessions with me, which I usually try and do by Skype or video hangouts, but this is a video hangout, and already we've had a gremlin with the chat box. So I much prefer Skype. That seems to work every time, and it means we can talk to each other and see each other. It also means I can send you files and information live as we talk. And also, it doesn't get recorded, by the way. So it's 100% confidential. Not that anybody would ever watch the Hangout recordings, but Skype is by far preferable. It's free as well, but so are Hangouts. Hey, I will help you to structure your writing business, which means more time and freedom for you, and that you get to be more productive. I will help you get your book ready to write or launch before the end of the 6 sessions. So that's giving you motivation to write it, confidence to write it, and you'll be hugely productive, as at the same time having more time and freedom to do it, if you follow my program and you're open to taking on my ideas. This is why my coaching will skyrocket your idea, your career. First of all, I've walked the path, so I know where the pitfalls are. So I'll save you all of that time and trouble. My blend of writing history and knowledge combined with personal development skills and know-how is unique. I won't just make you a better writer, I will enable you to grow as a person, as I've pointed out already. And as of now, it's personal and tailor-made just for you. And I'm saying as of now because I can't do this in this way for much longer, because there's only one of me and I only have a limited number of places and time available to coach people one-on-one. So, and already, actually, I have to say, as I speak to you now, so this is live recording, I only have a space for probably, at the maximum, probably 3 more people. I could squeeze in 3, probably 2, but 3, I would squeeze in 3. Okay, so if you're watching a recording of this, you know, I don't know whether those places will still be available. So just warning you. So I will light your path. I will show you how to turn dumb or dull ideas, if that's what you think they are, into sizzling winners. There's always a seed in every idea. I'll show you how to find markets for your ideas. I'll show you how to turn a curious audience into hungry buyers and readers. They turn buyers and readers the same thing in the end. And I will show you how to grow your personal confidence as a writer, as an expert on whatever topic, if it's a non-fiction particularly, as an interviewee, and of course, as a person. Here's what some people have said about my coaching. This gentleman, Colin, he's a lovely guy. He's here over here in the UK. He said, I don't do 10s. You can have 9.999 though. The continuity was important and the small step approach made it easy to follow and understand. Yeah, I have a unique small step approach, which I will reveal to you when you become my client. I'd been drawn to write for a long time. This gentleman, RS, he didn't want me to reveal his full name. He is a writer and he's a really passionate man. But he gave me permission to give his initials. And he was in Spain. We worked together via Skype. And he said, I'd been drawn to write for a long time, yet kept running into personal boundaries that kept me from doing so. You handed me the tools to cross them and actually put it to paper. So, you know, I have my successes. I could go on, but again, I want to be mindful of time. So let's cut to the chase. What's the cost of this? Well, first of all, please realize I'm giving you a skill for life. You know, once you can write, you always have words available. You will have a skill set and a toolkit available that you can turn words into money about pretty much anything, anytime you want to. You'll understand how to write, where to put it, how to find an audience, how to sell it. You know, this is, and you don't need anything other really than a pen and paper. If you know, even if your computer broke down, you could always get a hold of a pen and paper. Okay. Now, to have a skill for life, colleges charge upwards of what, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, and that applies to many areas of life, not just writing. You'd also have to devote probably 2 to 4 years of your life to go to college. Okay. So this is a strictly limited offer because I've said I can only take 5 or 6 people, but I already have a few, so I have 2 or 3 places left. Right? Once the numbers build up, it will be group coaching, and that will probably be a monthly fee somewhere in the region of $297 a month, possibly more, depending on demand. Private mentoring for me, which I may not even ever do, because it depends on availability of my time. But that's going to be something like in the region of $1,997 for a single session per month if people want to hire me for that, maybe more. But you get 6 whole sessions for just $997. Or if that's too much to commit to in one go, you can have it in 2 easy payments of just $519. Okay. Now, if you want to do that right now while we're live on air, go and apply right now. Go to wizardofwisdom.com/unleash the writer. That will take you to a PayPal page where you can pay the $997. As soon as you do that, it takes you to another page where you register, and I will be in contact with you within the next 24 hours to set up our first appointment. Okay. If you prefer the easy payment option, it's wizardofwisdom.com/unleash the writer -easy pay, or if you're in English, EZ pay. All right. So it's wizardofwisdom.com/unleash the writer, or for the easy payment option, wizardofwisdom.com/unleash the writer -easy pay, EZPAY, or EZPAY if you're on the other side of the pond. Okay. Now, this is strictly first come, first served. As I've already pointed out, there's only one of me. There are quite a few of you on this webinar, and there will be replays. So other people, could be applying as early as tomorrow or even later tonight, depending on how quickly I get the replay up. But there are, quite a few people on the Kindle Craft list and the Facebook groups and so on. So there will be people looking at this webinar very, very soon. So if you want a place, you are first in the line. So grab it now. I have another surprise for you. This is my no-fail guarantee, because I guarantee you will have a book mapped out or completed. I can't guarantee completion if you want to write something like, 7 Harry Potter-sized novels in 6 sessions, all right? But I guarantee you will have it mapped out or completed, depending on the length of the project, together with a marketing plan for it by the time we've completed 6 sessions, or I will do it for you. So one way or another, you are going to get a book out there. Now, just to be clear about this guarantee, because this is a really, really unusual guarantee, just to be clear, in the event that you take me up on that, we would then be entering into a joint venture partnership where I would take 50% of profits on sales. And I may choose the topic, because it depends on what you've chosen. If I think it's too obscure and it's not going to sell, then we may revise the topic. So just to be clear, but one way or another, it would have your name on it. You will have a book out there. I would take that on. So one way or another, you are not going to fail when you take me up on this coaching. So let's recap. You get 6 one-hour private coaching sessions with me. You get email access to me throughout, by the way. I will help you find angles to turn virtually any idea into a profitable one and or an irresistible story if it's fiction you want to write. I will give you personal confidence training, coaching on your style of writing, reader engagement tips, how to get those people hungry for your work and therefore selling it, marketing help, and plus my unique no-fail guarantee. As I say, I can only take a limited number of people, very small number of people. You can either make one single payment or spread the cost over 2 easy payments, and it's wizardofwisdom.com/unleash the writer for the single payment, $997, or wizardofwisdom.com/unleash the writer -easy pay if you want the 2 payment option. Okay, so what to do now is go directly to one of those links while we're still on the air. Just open a new tab in your browser so you don't lose your broadcast here. Click the button on the page, or pay now in two easy payments. You'll register for the program as soon as your payment has cleared, and then you will be taken to a short questionnaire. It has 5 questions in it, and I will receive that questionnaire. It's just to help you get focused and me get a handle on what you are trying to achieve with your writing. I will contact you within 24 hours to schedule, or if you're on the other side of the pond, schedule our first session. Okay, so folks, that brings me to the end of the presentation. And so now it's Q&A time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go and check my emails to see if anyone has sent in a question. So please bear with me. The slide may go off your screen. So if you want, while I'm doing that, just take me a moment or two. If you want to register for this, go immediately to wizardofwisdom.com/unleashthewriter for the full payment, or unleashthewriter-easy-pay for the 2 payment option, and I will go and look and see what your questions are. So please excuse me while I do that. Okay. Okay, it looks like no one's sending in any questions. So, okay, folks, just to remind you, you can email me. I keep putting the wrong one up there. You can email me at trev@wizardofwisdom.com. So if you have any questions at all, either about the content of this webinar or about the coaching program, please email me. Go to your email program. I'm really sorry there's no chat box here, but it would not work. I will be contacting the manufacturers of that plugin as soon as this is over, but right now we have to work with what we have. So please email me. If you're watching the recording, you can still email me, but right now you can email me live. I'm live on air to trev@wizardofwisdom.com. If you have any questions, comments, anything you need to know about this presentation. So I will pop back to my email box right now and refresh the page, trev@wizardofwisdom.com. I'll just check the spam filter as well in case any of your emails have ended up in there. But it doesn't look as though they have. All right. So if there are no questions, I will close this out. Okay. No questions, folks? So, all right, then all it remains for me to do is to thank you very, very much for attending. As I say, there are a couple of coaching places available. If you'd like to take me up on them, you need to be quick. So go to either of those links, and hopefully I will see you one-to-one. So again, thank you very, very much for being here, and I will hopefully be speaking with you very, very soon. Thanks for coming.